Welcome back to Comics with Drew. I'm Drew. So today's review is of The Amazing Spider-Man number 12. This is actually not a bad Amazing Spider-Man comic book. We left off last issue with Norman Osborn and Roderick Kingsley both being attacked by the Hobgoblin. Wow, who would have seen that coming? I didn't. The book picks up pretty much right where we left off with the last issue, only at this point Hobgoblin has disappeared. He's killed everybody except Roderick Kingsley. And Norman Osborn. Also very strange. So the police start showing up and Kingsley bails because he doesn't want to answer any questions. And Norman is beat to near death and he gets hauled off to the hospital. And the next thing you know, Peter's showing up at the hospital to say, hey, what's up? You lied to me. You said that it was going to be this date, but then you went out early and look what's going on. So I can't trust you anymore. They have this little discussion about what's happening and who is attacking them. And Norm says, well, you know, it was the Hobgoblin. And so that's where Peter says, well, you know what? Ned Leeds is telling me that you're actually meeting with Roderick Kingsley. And Norm's like, yeah, but Roderick Kingsley was also attacked, so he can't be the Hobgoblin. So again, who could the Hobgoblin be, right? So, I mean, again, historically, Ned Leeds was the Hobgoblin, and Roderick Kingsley was the Hobgoblin, and, you know, your next door neighbor, Stu, was the Hobgoblin. I mean, everybody was the Hobgoblin. But Peter says, okay, you know what, I'm going to go deal with this. And he talks to Betty, Ned's wife, and Betty says, oh, well, he's been out there cracking this case, working it really hard, but sometimes he puts on his Hobgoblin outfit, and boy, that's just really terrible. So Peter starts having this giant fight with the Hobgoblin, and he's getting his butt kicked, and it's a knockdown, drag-out fight. It's a great fight. It's one of the best action sequences in this run of Spider-Man. It's what we're looking for as Spider-Man fans. While Peter's out there, you know, going toe-to-toe with the Hobgoblin, so Norman's going through this laptop doing his work, and then he sees that there's an alert from the suit that it's engaged in an incident that Peter's wearing. So he switches it on and he has a live feed, and he sees that Peter unmasks the Hobgoblin as none other than Roderick Kingsley. And so just as Peter's about ready to take him in, boom, he gets blindsided by another Hobgoblin. So we have dos Hobgoblins. We have two Hobgoblins, and clearly one of them is Roderick Kingsley. I think this is actually a really good book. Let's get into the art. The first worst panel of the book is on page 8. It's panel number 1. I'm not going to get used to Spider-Man on a goblin glider, right? It's just wrong. Second worst panel is page 13, panel number 5. This woman's head looks like she's just stepped out of being exorcised. So, I mean, this looks like a shot from The Exorcist. So again, the first panels of this issue aren't really bad artwork because this is actually a book where, even though it's weird John Romita Jr. art, not like your traditional John Romita Jr. art, it's actually got a little bit of its own logic to it. So this book is actually pretty good. I mean, it's like he's kind of like starting to find his stride with this style. I still hate the style, but at least it doesn't look completely stupid the entire time. I will admit that this might be an unconventional choice for one of the best panels, but on page 9, panel 6, you've got this close-up of Spider-Man getting his Spidey sense, and I really like this switch up of the art because I think one of the wonderful aspects of the idea of Spidey sense is that it shocks Peter so that he knows that things are not quite right. And when you do that visually by basically changing the entire color palette, I think that really adds a lot of punch. And the next panel that I dig on this book is actually the very next page and the very next panel. And that's this attack scene here. So a bomb goes off, and the way that the onomatopoeia is arranged and the way that the energy kind of explodes across the panel, no pun intended, it's just very dynamic. And it leads into one of the best action sequences in this particular run of Spider-Man. And last but not least, my third favorite panel, or what I consider the best panel of this book, is actually on page 18, and it's panel 3, and it's a close-up shot of Roderick Kingsley. I've been giving JR a ton of crap about his art, but this particular close-up is a wonderfully framed shot of his face, and the detail with the blood and the expression. This is actually one of the best rendered characters in this entire run for John Romita Jr., and even the dialogue works very well with it. Goodness gracious, what is the world coming to where we have an actual Amazing Spider-Man issue that doesn't totally suck? So, Amazing Spider-Man number 12. This is a mini arc. You've got 11, 12, and 13. And then we get Dark Web. So, again, it's a great book. Check it out. Thanks for watching Comics with Drew. I'm Drew, and I'll catch you next time.